I'm standing behind the counter at a pharmacy in Stockholm, and this guy from Texas walks in holding his phone like it's a translator device. It's a Tuesday afternoon, maybe 2 p.m., and the rain is doing that light drizzle thing outside. "I need something for a fever," he says. "It's 38 degrees. I look at him. He's wearing a hoodie and jeans. Looks fine. That's normal body temperature," I tell him. "Normal?" His eyes go wide. "Man, I'm burning up. I need medicine." I realize what's happening. He thinks 38 Celsius is hot. I mean, it is, but not like Arizona hot. "Sir, that's 100 Fahrenheit. Barely a fever." He stares at his phone, then at me, then back at his phone. "Your thermometer is broken," he says, completely serious. "That was last month." But here's the thing. Americans and the metric system. It's like watching someone try to open a door that says pull by pushing harder. Over and over. There was the woman in Amsterdam who asked for a gallon of water at the convenience store. The clerk brought her 4 liters. She looked at the bottles like they were alien artifacts. "These are too small," she said. They were literally more than a gallon. Or the guy at the Munich train station who missed his connection because he thought his train left at 3 p.m. It left at 15 quarts. He stood there arguing that those were the same thing. "Then why use different numbers?" he kept asking. "Because one is a 24-hour clock, sir. The rest of the world uses it." My personal favorite? The couple in Prague who rented a car and drove 80 kilometers per hour in a 50 zone got pulled over. The husband tried explaining to the Czech police officer that 50 was way too slow for a highway. The officer just pointed at the speedometer. "This is not highway. This is residential street." The fine was 2,000 koruna. The husband asked if they took dollars. I work as a tour guide now in Sweden, but I've seen Americans crash into the metric system in 7 different countries. I collect these stories full-time now. Every country, every confused conversion, every "wait what" moment at a European pharmacy counter. If you want the front row seat to humanity's most entertaining math failures, subscribe. I post a new batch of these every week, and trust me, the metric system keeps winning. And I mean crash. Like full speed, no brakes, didn't see it coming crashes. The confusion is real. The confidence is even more real. And somehow, someway, it always ends with them holding their phone, squinting at a conversion app, while the rest of us just wait. But that was just the beginning. The Norwegian hotel receptionist story still makes me laugh. I was working the front desk at a small hotel in Bergen, and this American family checked in during July. Dad was maybe mid-40s, wearing cargo shorts despite the weather. Next morning, he storms down to the lobby. "The heater in our room is broken," he says. "It's set to 20, but the room is freezing." I glance at the thermostat display. 20 Celsius. Perfect room temperature. "Sir, that's 68 Fahrenheit. That's standard." He looks at me like I've just told him the earth is flat. 20 degrees is below freezing, he says slowly, like I'm the confused one. His wife appears behind him, wrapped in a blanket. "We had to use all the extra blankets," she adds. "Below freezing is 0 Celsius, I explain. 20 is room temperature." The dad pulls out his phone, converts it, stares at the screen. "Well, that's confusing," he finally mutters. They kept the room at 24 Celsius the rest of the week. Complained it was too hot. Then there was the Australian situation. I was working a summer job at a beach resort in Sydney, and an American college student came to the staff office. "Is there air conditioning?" she asks. "It's 35 degrees out there," I nod. "Yeah, it's pretty hot today." "Hot?" She looks genuinely confused. "It's freezing. I need a jacket." Oh boy, here we go. I explained that 35 Celsius is 95 Fahrenheit. She processes this information like a computer loading a web page. You can see the buffering. So, when you say it's 20 degrees in winter, that's 68 Fahrenheit. We don't have winter like you do. She stood there for a good minute. Then went back outside without the jacket. Came back an hour later with a sunburn. The best one happened in Finland. I wasn't there, but my colleague told me. An American businessman was visiting Helsinki in February. Actual winter. -15 Celsius outside. He asks the hotel staff, "Why is everyone walking around in negative degrees? That doesn't make sense." The Finnish receptionist, in typical Finnish fashion, just says, "It's cold." "But negative?" he says. "How do you measure negative temperature?" 0 is freezing. Below 0 is colder than freezing. The businessman looks out the window. People are walking dogs, biking to work, living life. "You people are built different," he says. He wasn't wrong. There was also the incident in Morocco. My friend worked at a riad in Marrakesh, and an American woman kept calling the front desk. "The pool temperature is wrong," she'd say. "The sign says 28, but that's impossible." "Ma'am, that's about 82 Fahrenheit. The sign is wrong." This went on for 3 days. She never went in the pool because she thought it was somehow broken or mislabeled. On her last day, she finally tested it with her hand. "Oh," she said, "it's warm." My friend just smiled. Didn't say anything. The pattern I've noticed? Americans see a number, and their brain automatically runs it through Fahrenheit. 20 degrees? Cold? 30 degrees? Freezing? 40 degrees? Maybe spring. But 40 Celsius is 104 Fahrenheit. That's stay inside with a fan weather. I saw this myself in Spain. I was studying abroad in Barcelona, and this older American couple was visiting. Must have been in their 60s. The weather forecast said 42 degrees for the next day. "Perfect weather for sightseeing," the wife says to her husband. The Spanish hotel worker overhears this. "No, no, very hot. Stay inside during afternoon." 42 degrees is perfect, the husband insists. The next day, they tried walking around at 2 p.m. Came back after 20 minutes, red-faced, exhausted, asking why nobody warned them. "We did warn you," the hotel worker said. They spent the rest of the trip checking both Celsius and Fahrenheit before making plans. Smart adjustment. But my absolute favorite temperature story? Tokyo. I was there on a work trip, and an American tourist was at the pharmacy counter next to me. She wanted a thermometer. The pharmacist shows her one. Digital, normal thermometer. "Does this do Fahrenheit?" she asks. "It shows Celsius." "But I don't know Celsius." The pharmacist very politely says, 37 is normal body temperature. 38 and above is fever. The woman thinks about this. "So, I have to learn new numbers?" Yes, she bought it anyway. I watched her Googling Celsius fever chart as she left the store. I drive a taxi in Amsterdam, and the American tourist confusion about kilometers is a daily show. This one guy, college-aged kid with a backpack, gets in and asks how far the hotel is. "About 8 kilometers, I tell him. 8 kilometers. He looks worried. "That's like really far, right?" 5 miles. His face relaxes. "Oh, that's nothing. Same distance, different number, total different reaction. But that's mild compared to the German highway story." I heard this from a rental car company worker in Frankfurt. American businessman rents a car, heads out to Munich. He comes back 3 days later with 7 speeding tickets. "The signs are wrong," he tells the rental agent. "They said 100, so I went 100. 100 kilometers per hour. That's 62 miles per hour. The highway speed limit is 62? He's genuinely shocked. No, you were driving 100 miles per hour in zones marked 100 kilometers per hour. The tickets totaled over 800 euros. He tried to argue that the signs should specify kph. The agent pointed out that they're in Germany. Kilometers are assumed. My Brazilian friend has a similar story from São Paulo. She's a bus driver, and an American expat kept complaining that the bus route was wrong. It says 15 kilometers to downtown, but we've been driving forever, he'd say. We've been driving 10 minutes. For 15 kilometers? 15 kilometers is 9 miles. In traffic. Yes. He eventually started bringing a book because he kept underestimating travel time. Thought 30 kilometers meant an hour-long journey. It's 18 miles. Takes maybe 25 minutes without traffic. The New Zealand hiking incident is legendary. I work at a national park information center, and this American couple asks about a trail. How long is the 10-kilometer loop? The husband asks. About 3 to 4 hours, depending on fitness. They look at each other, confused. 10 kilometers in 4 hours, the wife says. That's like really slow walking. It's 6 miles, mountain terrain, steep sections. They set out anyway. Came back after 2 hours, exhausted, having done maybe 3 kilometers. That's not 10 kilometers, the husband says. That felt like 10 miles. It will be 10 kilometers when you finish it. They didn't finish it. There was also the Italian grocery store incident. My cousin works at a market in Rome, and an American woman asked for a pound of tomatoes. We sell by kilogram. How much is a kilogram in pounds? 0.2 pounds. The woman thinks about this. So, half a kilogram? That's 1.1 pounds. Just give me a pound. My cousin grabs about 500 grams. Close enough. The woman looks at the scale. That's 500, she says. I wanted a pound. That's about a pound. But it says 500. This went in circles for 2 minutes. Eventually, my cousin just bagged it, and the woman left, still looking confused. The Polish train station story is darker. I was traveling through Krakow, and an American backpacker missed her train to Warsaw because she misread the distance. I thought 300 kilometers was super far, she told the ticket agent. Like, across the country far. That's 186 miles. A few hours by train. She'd planned her whole day around this massive journey. Showed up 4 hours early, then wandered around the city and came back late because she thought she had time. Her train had left 20 minutes before. Next one wasn't for 3 hours, but the funniest distance confusion? Singapore. My friend is a museum guide, and an American family was visiting. How far is the hotel from here? The dad asks. About 2 kilometers. We'll take a taxi. It's a 20-minute walk. Very pleasant. 2 kilometers is too far to walk. They took a taxi. The ride lasted maybe 5 minutes, most of it waiting at traffic lights. The fare was $8. The next day, they asked the same question. 2 kilometers. This time, the daughter pulls out her phone. Dad, that's a mile and a bit. Oh. He pauses. We can walk that. They walked it. Complained the next day that their pedometer said they'd walked so much, and showed my friend the stats. 8,000 steps, 6 kilometers total for the whole day. That's 3.7 miles, my friend said. That's a lot. The mom says, that's below the recommended daily amount. They looked genuinely surprised. The absolute peak of distance confusion happened in Jordan. I was on a tour group, and the American guy kept asking, how many miles? Every time the guide mentioned distances, the Dead Sea is 50 kilometers from Amman. How many miles? Ancient Petra is 240 kilometers south. How many miles? The guide finally said, About 30 miles and 150 miles. The American nods. Thanks. I can picture that now. But here's the thing. He couldn't picture it. Because when we drove to Petra, he kept asking, "Are we there yet?" Like a kid. Every 20 minutes, the drive was 3 hours. He thought 150 miles meant like an hour max. Roads here are different, the guide explained. Mountain roads, desert roads, not highway. Still seems long for 150 miles. Some things you just can't convert in your head. And that's exactly why I keep documenting these moments, because the pattern is hilarious, and it never stops. Most travel channels show you sunsets and monuments. I show you Americans arguing with thermometers. If that's your kind of travel content, you know what to do. I work at a post office in Dublin, and watching Americans try to mail packages is an entire education in measurement confusion. This woman, maybe late 30s, brings in a box. Wants to ship it home to California. How much does it weigh? I ask. She lifts it. Like 5 pounds? I put it on the scale. 2.8 kilos. Is that more or less than 5 pounds? That's 6.2 pounds. She looks at the box like it's gained weight by magic. How is it heavier here? It's not heavier. A kilogram is 2.2 pounds. That's confusing. She pays for shipping but keeps muttering about the weight being wrong. Ma'am, your box didn't change mass by crossing the Atlantic. The Dutch hardware store situation is even better. My brother works at a Gamma in Rotterdam, and an American expat was looking for wood to build shelves. I see thing. Need a board that's 6 feet by 2 feet, he says. We sell in meters and centimeters. The American pulls out his phone, converts. So, 1.8 meters by 0.6 meters? Yes, approximately. Do you have that exact size? We have 180 centimeters by 60 centimeters. Is that the same thing? My brother just nods. Yes, same thing. The American buys it but comes back 2 days later. This is too short. He'd measured wrong. Mixed up centimeters and inches on his measuring tape. His shelf was about 30% too small. But my favorite? The South African gym. I was visiting Cape Town, and there was an American guy at the weight rack staring at the dumbbells. These are labeled wrong, he tells the trainer. How so? This says 20, but it feels like 40 pounds. That's 20 kilograms. That's 44 pounds. The guy sets it down immediately. No wonder. I thought I got weaker on vacation. He'd been trying to lift his normal weight, but in kilograms, basically doubling his usual load. His form was suffering because he was confused, not weak. The trainer showed him the conversion. The American stuck to lighter weights the rest of his trip. Then there's the Thai cooking class story. My girlfriend is a cooking instructor in Chiang Mai, and an American couple took her class. Recipe calls for 200 grams of chicken. The wife asks, "How much is that in ounces?" "About 7 ounces. Can you just tell me in cups?" My girlfriend pauses. Cups are for volume. This is weight. But I measure chicken in cups at home. You measure chicken in cups. The wife insists this is normal. My girlfriend just weighs out the chicken and hands it to her. Later in the class, the recipe needs 500 milliliters of coconut milk. The husband asks, "How many cups?" "About 2 cups. Why not just say 2 cups? Because we measure in milliliters." He seemed personally offended by this, like the metric system was designed to confuse him specifically. The Hungarian pharmacy situation was wild. I was working in Budapest, and an American woman needed liquid medicine for her kid. The doctor said 5 milliliters twice a day. She says, "Okay, here's the measuring cup." She looks at it. "This is in milliliters." "Yes. Do you have one in teaspoons?" 5 milliliters is 1 teaspoon. But I need to measure it in teaspoons. The cup shows both. See? This line is 5 ml, which equals 1 teaspoon. She stared at that cup for a solid 30 seconds. This would be easier at home. "Ma'am, it's the same medicine." Same amount. Different label. The Mexican gas station incident is pretty good too. My cousin manages a Pemex station, and an American road tripper couldn't figure out the pump. "How many gallons did I get?" he asks. "You got 40 liters. "But how many gallons?" "About 10.5 gallons. He looks at the price, looks at the liter amount, pulls out a calculator. "This is more expensive than I thought." You're comparing liter prices to gallon prices. Per gallon, it's actually cheaper than California. But the sign says 20 pesos per liter. Yes, that's about $1, so $4 per gallon. He stood there doing mental math for 5 minutes, finally filled up his tank and left, still mumbling about confusing gas pumps. The Swedish grocery store one is simpler but funnier. I was in line behind an American woman buying deli meat. "I'll take a quarter pound of ham." The deli worker says, "We sell by grams." 100 grams? "How much is 100 grams? "About a quarter pound." "Then why not just say a quarter pound?" "Because we use grams in Sweden." The woman sighs like this is the biggest inconvenience of her life. Fine, 100 grams, she gets her ham. Looks at it, this seems like less than a quarter pound. It's the same. It wasn't the same. 100 grams is actually 3.5 ounces. She wanted 113 grams, but she didn't know that. The best weight confusion? Australia. I was working at a produce market in Melbourne, and an American tourist asked for 5 pounds of bananas. We sell by kilogram. How many kilograms is 5 pounds? About 2.3 kilograms. She thinks about this. Just give me 5 pounds. I grab about 2 kilograms. Close enough. She weighs them at the self-checkout. Sees 2 kilos on the screen. This is only 2 pounds, she says to nobody in particular. Actually, ma'am, that's 4.4 pounds. But sure, the absolute best metric system crash I ever saw happened in Iceland last summer. I was working as a tour guide for glacier hikes, and this American couple signed up for the moderate trail. During the safety briefing, I mentioned the hike is 8 kilometers round trip with a 400-meter elevation gain. 8 kilometers, the husband says. That's like, what, 5 miles? Exactly 5 miles. Easy. Then the wife asks, how much is 400 meters in feet? About 300 feet. Her face changes. That's a lot of climbing. It's moderate, I assure her. We start the hike. 20 minutes in, they're already struggling. The husband keeps checking his fitness watch. This says we've only gone 1.5 kilometers, he says, breathing hard. Yes, 6.5 more to go. But we've been walking forever. 20 minutes. They made it to the 3-kilometer mark about halfway. Asked to turn back. Too hard, too far, too steep. On the way down, the wife says, I thought 8 kilometers was nothing. It is nothing if you're driving. You should warn people that kilometers feel longer when you're hiking. I didn't have the heart to tell her that kilometers are the same length, whether you're walking, running, or driving. A kilometer doesn't feel longer. Her fitness level just wasn't what she thought it was. The husband checked his watch at the van. We did 6 kilometers total. That's 3.7 miles. My watch says I burned 800 calories, though. That's like a 6-mile hike worth of calories. Steep terrain burns more calories. Still feels wrong. They left Iceland convinced that European kilometers are somehow longer than American miles. Not kidding. They said this out loud. The thing about Americans and the metric system? It's not that they can't learn it. It's that they don't expect to need it. And that expectation gap is comedy gold. I've spent years working across Europe, Asia, and Australia just watching this play out in real time. Most people scroll past generic travel content. But if you're the type who appreciates the absurd human moments that don't make it into guidebooks, subscribe, because I'm not stopping, and neither is the metric system. A kilogram isn't confusing, you just don't know it. Celsius isn't weird, you just learned. Fahrenheit first. Kilometers aren't longer. You just think in miles. But watching that confusion happen in real time, That's entertainment. Every single time. And here's the kicker. After all these years, all these countries, all these confused Americans staring at thermostats and speedometers and measuring cups, I've learned something. They always figure it out eventually. Takes a few days, a few mistakes, maybe a speeding ticket or a sunburn. But they adjust. Until then, I'll be here, watching Americans crash into the metric system at full speed. And these stories? They never stop coming.